Hello and welcome to Were You Not Entertained, where two film fans discuss their favorite flicks. I'm Daniel.
And I'm James.
And we are going to discuss episode 4 of The Mandalorian.
Yep. I love this episode.
Again, kind of one of the things that we were talking about before is something that you kind of continued to bring up was that it can be a standalone, like each episode can be a standalone episode.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to necessarily see all the other ones in order to watch them.
Right.
I think this one definitely falls into that category.
Big time. It also was the first one I felt like had a little bit different tone than normal.
Yeah.
Like it didn't have the Western feel you had gotten from the previous ones. Pretty much every episode up until this point had that kind of space Western that you got from the first Star Wars.
Sure.
And so being set in the woods.
Space pioneer.
Yeah. Actually, it reminded me big time of Stargate, the episode Nox.
Where nice. Where they meet the
Nox. Yep. And it's on that wooded place, and there are pacifists who are technologically advanced, and it kind of had that serene, space adventure feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were being threatened by a outside force that they hadn't anticipated. And so, yeah, I don't know. It definitely, that's where my mind went back to on this episode, which might be why I love it so much, because that might be my favorite Stargate episode as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that was a very good Stargate episode.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen all of these, so I don't know if this is my favorite episode or not, but I did really enjoy it. It is the whole, join forces to help the less sophisticated or battle ready kind of rise up.
Swords to plowshares, teach the farmers how to fight.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or the other way, plowshares into swords.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a theme you see in a lot of movies and things like that, TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an uncommon theme. But, in the Star Wars realm, it's a little less common.
Right.
It's not very often where you run into groups of people and they're like, man, we farm. That's what we do.
We actually live our day-to-day lives. We don't run around with lightsabers and blaster pistols.
Yeah, exactly. You don't live in a city. You're out here. You just farm? You just farm. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess they'd be like technically fishmongers. I mean, they grow prawns. It looked like,
yeah,
in shallow pools next to a river. But the other thing I really loved about this episode was it added a lot of humanity to the Mandalorian's character. Not only in having an ally, since you were no longer with Krull. I don't remember how to say his name. Nick Nolte's character from the previous ones.
Yeah.
Cara Dune is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Cara Dune. She is wonderful. And the banter between the two of them are incredible. She's somebody that he respects. And so he'll actually have a conversation with her. And so it draws him out a lot. And then Omera, and the kind of semi-love interest that's in the episode,
right,
adds a real depth to him. I was very happy to see this at this point in the series.
Yeah, it is interesting. The love interest is nice to kind of throw in there, but it was interesting to have Cara Dune, who's kind of, on his same level.
Mm-hmm.
They really get each other, but they don't. Like, it's not a romantic thing at all. It is a very professional, but we understand what each other's going through because we're both in the same situation kind of thing.
And I love how they show that they're equals so quickly, and the way they show it and don't tell it he goes and chases her once she disappears from the cantina or the inn or whatever it is, and the restaurant, I guess.
Yeah.
And
And she
they
kicks
fight
his
in the alley.
ass.
Well, they fight in the alleyway. She definitely puts down on him, but he does the same. And then they both draw up to each other, laying on the ground,
Yeah.
pistols aimed at each other's heads. And you have the comic relief of Baby Yoda sitting there sucking some bone stew or bone broth or whatever.
Right.
it was a great comic relief to the action, and at the same time showed that they are equal match for each other.
Yeah, exactly.
The Mandalorian's pretty BA, but so is Cara Dune.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I said, she put a whooping on him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing all right, but she was handling up for sure.
Yeah. No, she's wonderful. Absolutely love her. This episode is kind of a PSA. You need to spay and neuter your pets, people, because otherwise we're going to have, evil bands of pugs out there trying to steal all of your fresh fish.
Yes.
I mean, pugs have been waiting their whole life to get a hold of an Imperial Walker.
Yes, they have.
That has been the ultimate goal of their breed. So
yeah, they're just waiting right now. I mean, they're planning it.
Yep, lying in wait just a few thousand years.
Yep, it'll happen in no time.
Exactly. But if you spay and neuter your pets, we won't have that as a problem.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I did find that funny too, though, that the bad guys were these like dog-faced people.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I think it's fine. It goes back to the normal, ugly aliens or bad aliens kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
But they were just a looming threat, no real value to the story. The real story was the Mandalorian and Kara's interaction with the town folks.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of finding that the simple life could be a good life.
Yeah.
Especially kind of coming from what he's come from. And he knew he couldn't stay, but that, the Baby Yoda might be able to hang out there and live a good life.
Yeah, exactly.
And be raised in the right kind of community.
Yeah, not constantly on the run the way that he is when he's with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly. Although you got to ask yourself, if they just came under attack once, what makes you think it's not going to happen again?
Yeah, I guess the fact that they trained the farmers to be able to defend themselves, and now that they took out the walker, the dog people don't really have as much of an advantage as they did before.
It's true.
And taught them how to make things like barricades and stuff, because when it shows you when they first get there and it shows you the kind of zoom out picture of it, it's just some huts surrounded by the pools. So other than light moats, there's no defensible position that they have. And so things like barricades alone can be huge in fighting what'll essentially be ground tactics.
Yep, that is true. So they do definitely have an advantage against those people. I mean, as long as it's not some other group of yahoos.
Yeah. So hopefully, they're not being attacked by, the Imperials or anything like that, which aren't supposed to exist anymore, but clearly do in places.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, no, it was I really, really enjoyed this episode, and it was actually directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah. I was going to mention that. I saw that. I thought that was pretty cool.
And so I don't know if that has any contribution to the different feel. Honestly, I think it was the writing because of the placement and the scenery and things like that.
Yeah.
That made it have that slightly episodic, singular feel like you were talking about earlier. Especially the transition away from the Western mindset.
Right.
But it was wonderful in and of itself. That's what I liked so much about this, is it was the first one that kind of breaks away from the mold and shows you that the Mandalorian could be a whole bunch of different things throughout, hopefully, the years.
Right. Yeah. For many seasons to come.
Mm-hmm. Crossing my fingers for that, at least.
Yeah, which is interesting because I didn't really think about the whole Stargate thing. I didn't make that connection until you said it, but it definitely did feel a lot more like a Stargate kind of episode. Because,
and just for the listeners' knowledge, because me and you both know, we're giant Stargate fans. We've seen basically every single episode of SG-1. I've seen every episode of Universe. I've seen most of Atlantis. And I think you're kind of right there with me. You've seen pretty much everything as well.
Oh, yeah. I've seen all the SG-1s. I've seen the movies. I've seen most of it. I haven't finished Atlantis. I don't know why I haven't finished Atlantis.
Me too, which is weird because it's kind of right up my alley. I just never finished the second or third season.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is there. But I really enjoyed them. And, yeah, you are right. This did definitely have that kind of feel where it was... They have an overarching theme, the whole time. There's a major theme going on, but within that theme, there are individual episodes that are just based on what they do, right?
Right.
Not necessarily on whatever the big bad is at the time, but just for them, the exploration, and for this, the survival, the retreating, it is exploration as well, because he's trying to find places to go to be safe, right? To keep the kids safe.
And this was the hope. This was the time that he was hoping he had found a place, but then once the bounty hunter came at the end, he realized that there might not be a safe place.
Right, exactly. Which is probably why the episode is called Sanctuary.
Right.
It felt like a sanctuary, somewhere where you can go to escape and not feel threatened, even though...
It's almost like they thought about that.
Yeah. You think?
Huh. Funny.
Yeah, that's strange.
No. Love this episode. I thought it was a great one. Easily top 3 of the entire season for me.
I'll have to say once I see them all.
Fair enough. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to cover on Sanctuary?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Please join us next time. Make sure you like and subscribe, and join us next time on We're Not Entertained.